Hello and welcome to Juicy Joy. I'm excited to be with you tonight to share with you what we're going to learn today. Things that have not only saved my life, but improved it in ways unimaginable. And ways that I know will absolutely, fully bless you beyond anything you've seen before. And so now, as we open, I'm looking for a way to see both of us here. There we go. Awesome. Good. All right. So as we work through today, this Juicy Joy experience, it's important that we get some things straight because, well, first of all, as you learn tonight to tap into your own inner wellspring of joy, you'll commit to integrating these experiences into your daily life and business so that you can have more of a positive experience of life. And, you know, you may be thinking, well, why joy? Why joy now when the world is just in such chaos? Aren't there more important things to think about than my own happiness? No, there is nothing more important than your own happiness. In fact, you can look at this as life or death, as a life or death experience or a process here. This is life or death to your physical and your mental health, especially in these crazy times. And what I'm going to share with you actually has helped me to thrive in this time. While I've watched many, many people struggle unimaginably. And I truly believe it's because I integrated these practices that I'm going to share with you this evening into my daily life long before this chaos ensued. See, I had a different kind of chaos in my life, right? And so what I'm going to share with you is going to help you to move from your stuck place, from that place of procrastination, which really is a stress response, to flow, to ease, to getting into your groove again, right? To finding your mojo, to finding that fire in your belly to do the work that you are called to do, right? That thing that inspired you in the first place to start a business. And so what we're going to go through tonight, though it may seem frivolous, it is the most important thing. In fact, the only thing that you should be focused on if you've got procrastination, self-sabotage, if you find yourself in the same place financially year after year after year. I will help you to lock into the core of your being, the understanding, the truth that you deserve to live a life of unbounding joy. And running your business or leading yourself in business, owning your inner authority, being that person is part of that joy. It always has been and always will be, even though the world may have told you otherwise. So that's what we're talking about tonight. And the fact is, we've got to do these things consciously. We've got to consciously turn ourselves to joy because your mind is a negativity bias machine. It is designed to focus on what is scary, what could kill you, what's coming at you. And if you allow yourself to get caught up in that, if you allow the archaic mind to run the show, then you'll essentially just be pushed and pulled by the world, be miserable, and never see your vision come to light. It's kind of depressing, isn't it? So essentially, I am here to show you how to turn your mind into a positivity bias machine, okay? For real. I promise you. And these are things that I've applied myself over the last 20 years, but I'll tell you what. I may have known them consciously. I may have known that they were important, but until I had hypnosis to help me to lock them into the core of my being, I was absolutely operating from a completely different place in my life and in my business. And so that's why I'm here to share these with you. So essentially, the reason why we're doing this here and now in the worst stress the world's ever seen is because that stress from the disruption of our routines, from the uncertainty of what's to come, from just the everything that seems to be out of whack right now, right? That it causes stress, but at its worst, it causes anxiety, okay? And this feels different in the body, and it absolutely negatively affects your mind, your creative mind, right? Your genius entrepreneur mind, your creative mind that has a vision and faith that vision can come to light, right? That's why you're here. And if you're not able to continue along that, to get that vision to come to light, it feels really, really painful. Because when we're in that anxiety mode or that stress mode, right, we feel totally stressed out, and then it starts to manifest itself in the body, it creates a whole slew of hormones that are absolutely detrimental. Adrenaline, epinephrine, cortisol, all of these in the body at high levels are actually more damaging than even smoking. Okay, so when I say this is a life or death thing that you're working on here, I am absolutely, positively serious. You can think of these hormones of stress as making everything really rigid, right? When you're in fight, flight, or freeze, right? And freeze feels a whole lot like procrastination. All right, you lose that flexibility, that ability to go with the flow, to roll with the punches, right? And this is an integral thing that you need as an entrepreneur to thrive. This is the whole foundation of solution-oriented creative thinking. And so when you're in this extreme stress mode, when you're under the constant, hormones of stress in your body, you'll be lucky if you're doing anything but just surviving. And if you're staying afloat, excellent. But many people will sink, but you won't sink. You won't sink because you're here, because you're committed to yourself. You're committed to yourself, you're committed to your families, you're committed to the vision that you see coming to light, you're committed to the difference that you want to make in the world. And so you'll learn these things. And you won't end up with the worst case outcome, right? Something like insomnia, weight gain, or autoimmune disorders, lack of sex drive, substance abuse, that kind of stuff, right? None of you. But please do. Drop me a comment here if any of this, freeze response, this procrastination, or worse, has affected you in the last few months. And you know that if it's affecting you, it's affecting the world. And it is so important that we regain our center, our place to operate from a place of strength, from a place of power. Because when you are in that anxiety mode, your energy is being depleted so rapidly. And truthfully, you may not be fighting a lion. But if a lion shows up after you've been depleted for all of that time, you won't have the strength, my friend. And so I'm going to help you to be the lion. All right? Okay, so what I'm going to share with you today actually helped me to reverse a stress disorder. So I've been in business for going on more than 20 years now, and I actually ended up with a stress disorder that mimicked or that looked like what they call hyperthyroidism. I say it looked like because I no longer have the symptoms. Yeah, I lost half my thyroid, but I healed past the symptoms of hyperthyroid with the practices I'm about to share with you. And so these practices gave me a way to tap in to an inner wellspring of profound peace and contentment. Okay? Essentially, what they did was they helped me to raise my own happiness set point. And yeah, I just said happiness set point. What's that all about? Well, it's a happiness set point is a real thing. It's a scientific thing. They've actually identified that we have a set point of happiness, and it is much based on how we were brought up, what our experiences were when we were young. It's also called the hedonic set point, right? And so what that basically means is that we have this baseline of happiness, and even if excellent events happen or totally horrible, we usually go back to this kind of baseline. And unfortunately, bad stuff, the unending, seeming prolonged bad stuff, right? Right now, that's throwing people off, right? So it's actually lowering people's hedonic set point. But there's a fix. And the fix is incredibly effective. In fact, it can take just a few weeks to raise your happiness set point. And I'm here to tell you, I have I've raised my happiness set point far higher than the environment that I was raised in. In fact, I believe I have completely blown the lid off of what my happiness set point was when I was just very small. So the reason why you do want this to fix this happiness set point is because your joy essentially neutralizes the hormones of stress. Okay, so we talked about adrenaline, epinephrine, and cortisol, right? Those are all major stress hormones. So what we're about to do here in just a few minutes is we're going to raise your happy. We're going to give you a happy dose. That's dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And you're going to do that all easy, naturally. It's like having your own natural chill pill. And this is important. This is important because it's life or death, remember? It's life or death to your physical body, your mental body, and your business. And this is literally life-saving. And it's also creative genius releasing. Okay. See, when you are stressed, your creative mind essentially has to take a back seat because your fight-flight response, all of the energy is being, taken up by that anxiety response. And the adrenaline, epinephrine, and cortisol, they essentially shut down the centers in your mind that I think of as the human centers, right? The centers of creative thought, of imagining your future, your prefrontal cortex right here, right? And stress literally decreases the activity here, and your energy and the activity is more dedicated to the fear, the sympathetic nervous system response. And so when you do what I'm about to help you with, you'll reduce your stress, which in turn allows your creative mind to come back on board so that you are more flexible. You are able to come up with solution-oriented thinking to see more options available to you and to view the world in a more optimistic way, which will help you to take calculated risks because you'll feel safe to. You'll trust your own inner authority. All of that from tapping into joy. Who knew that being a powerhouse in business and in becoming wealthy had everything to do with being freaking happy? Well, we're about to do that. See, and here's what I find. What I find is that most of my clients, they're living under the lies of the world, right? You hear me talk about this a lot. The lies of the world that say in order to be successful, we have to sacrifice things like love, romance, sex, family, health, fun, right? And just drop me a little note here. If you were raised with a lie of the world, any one of them, something like, we may not have money, but we have a whole lot of love. That's a good one, because it's just one that just it's pretty insidious, because it really just taps into that place, because nobody wants to be without love, obviously. Or if you saw people in your life who work so hard that they jeopardize their own health, or if maybe your parents thought that they had to work hard for money so you didn't have them so much in your life, you can just drop one of those words: love, family, health, fun. Just let me hear what's going on for you. One of the lies of the world. And the fact is, if you're living under one of those, you find yourself stressed. You may totally be depressed, angry, resentful of this business that you started, right? You started it with enthusiasm, and now because you feel like it's taking away the things that you most value, that give you your happiness, you feel resentful. That's the number one reason why people will have their foot on the brake. And on the totally worst end, you may actually be experiencing things like insomnia, lack of sex drive, or even have an autoimmune condition, right? And none of it's your fault. You know, most people believe that to be successful, and they have to sacrifice the things that make them happy. And I'm here to tell you that is the worst of the lies of the world. Because the truth is, everything is available to you. And I'm just going to ask you, have you ever heard of anyone on the planet who is healthy, wealthy, has a fantastic love life, and seems really happy? Anyone at all? The answer is, of course, yes, there is. So how does that happen? Are they just lucky? No, they just were lucky enough to not have the limiting beliefs that were essentially handed to you, right? They didn't have those limiting subconscious programming that most people are subjected to. And the fact is, if they can have it, then so can you. There is no difference between you and them. They just have different thoughts. And when you change your thoughts, when you change your thinking, everything changes. Okay, so everything is available to you. And changing your thoughts is easy, effortless, automatic with hypnosis. And I feel like I should put in a little bit of a warning here. And that is that so many people feel they really must get to the root, to the suffering, to the understanding of why they have these things. You know, they've got to get it all out. And I don't want to discount any of the work, right? Because it takes inner work to grow. But at the same time, you don't have to get caught in this endless loop of trying to clear old stuff. You don't have to clear a thing before you can move forward. You can literally, I don't know if it'll be an hour from now, tomorrow, or next week, when you jump out of bed enthusiastic about what you've created in your life, and go forward boldly in pursuit of your vision. You don't have to clear anything. You can transmute your pain now into joy. And so essentially what we're going to learn is how to neutralize those toxic emotions, right? So you can walk in joy, contentment. You can take your foot off the brake right now and work in flow. So I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or next week or somewhere else along the pathway of prosperity, but you will find yourself free of the guilt, the shame of self-sabotage and procrastination. Instead, you'll be making strides in your business every day and enjoying your life more than you ever thought, celebrating every step of the way. And won't that be wonderful when it happens?